now have a discussion on politics and the poverty of language and thought. We invite on stage Professor Anand Raganathan, scientist, Special Center for Molecular Medicine, JNU, author and political commentator, Deep Halder, journalist and author.
Good afternoon. Sorry for the slight delay. It's Anand's celebrity status. We were mobbed outside for Anand's autographs and pictures, selfies. So we'll dive right in.
Just because you're a journalist doesn't mean you have to lie even here.
So we'll dive right in. Most of you know Anand as a top JNU scientist, as a public intellectual, as a TV debater, as a...
Stop abusing me, I'm not your dad.
No, come on. As a writer of a best-selling book, I know Anand also as the writer of a fine work of fiction, The Rat Eater. I think I've told this to you many times, Anand. I read, it came out in 2019, I think I read it around that time, peak COVID. And I was taken aback by the mastery of language that he displayed in the book. And, I couldn't compliment him enough. And I said, thank God you don't do writing full time, because what would have happened to people like me? So, being an admirer of Anand's writing, I was a little taken aback when I heard him on TV telling Ashutosh that I am not your father. So, Anand, the simple question, why?
I knew this was coming. No, but thank you first of all, Alo, again. And being amongst friends, and it's absolute a pleasure to be at PLF and with Deepda. And what he's saying about the book, I'm very thankful, because normally my books, they are nowadays not even read by the near and dear members of the family. I asked my son, tu to padh le. He said, uska video bana ke bhej do, then I'll watch that. The attention deficit disorder. No, but thank you so much. About the tiff, the friendly tiff that you asked. No, but I mean, it's impossible to predict who will take offense when. It's one of those things, whenever you're interacting with anyone, you're absolutely never sure. Both of us are married, so we know this situation. And with Ashutosh, it's the same. No, I'm not married to Ashutosh, but small mercies. But we've been sharing these, barbs for years. He's a good friend. And it all started, I think, 2019, if I'm not mistaken. 2020 rather, during that election when the talk was on Swachh Bharat mission, and he was absolutely blasting Modi for it, even though 100 million toilets had been made. He said, this is absolute nonsense and all, these claims and all. And I said, the only exception to Modi's claim of India being open defecation free is Ashutosh. He somehow took offense to that. Then, after that, it kind of settled down till there was this election coverage, and we were both in that Navika's team, and 8 a.m. sharp, the counting started, and Navika went absolutely ballistic. Oh, he's already won, this candidate is America. So I said, Navika, first 30 minutes is postal ballot counting. In those first 30 minutes, even Ashutosh was leading in his constituency. So I think he remembered that. But here, it was a bit different. I think it was just coming together of a lot of angst, hidden angst, I don't know. But the real needling was done by the new BJP spokesperson, Radhika Khera. She alleged that Ashutosh met some Congress worker through the back door somewhere, and I was putting a little bit of ghee as usual. Oh my God, was it true, this, that? And Ashutosh was right next to me. And then while the debate was going on, Ashutosh was clearly embarrassed. He was whispering to me, oh, she's a stooge, she's a Congress stooge, and this. But I said, but Ashutosh, please. So there's a debate going on, and me and Ashutosh are having this almost a tea time conversation on the side. Navika was totally oblivious to it. I said, yeah, but you must answer her serious allegation. To which he said, who are you? Are you a BJP stooge? Have you joined the BJP? Have you joined the BJP? He said it 5-6 times, and I didn't take offense at all. Not because I've joined BJP, but I keep getting, these things told to me. Sanghi, BJP stooge, this and that. So I said, are you a fuzzy journalist? That's all. So, I didn't take offense to what he said, and I obviously thought it's a barb, and he wouldn't take offense to what I've said. That kind of triggered him, and then he absolutely went ballistic, and one thing led to another, and then I'm not one to kind of keep quiet, and I said, "Das vote nahi mile isko." So I think that memory of the postal ballot counting and Ashutosh leading in that kind of triggered back. So anyway, I don't know how relevant it is to this conversation, but that's the story.
No, it's relevant because we are coming to a very expansive topic, and Alo is here, so we can't joke around anymore. She wants me to bring in gravitas right away.
Then Alo, Gloria is here, and she doesn't have those. You have those 15 minutes left. Oh, okay.
Okay, but tell me, is this a problem of the TV format, TV debate format? Because one of the things I keep quoting from you, that line you said about spare the fundamentalist, snare the fundamentals. It's the other way around. It's one of the things I keep quoting because there's so much in those lines. But the way, because of TRP and the need to be constantly on top, do you think that's why the level of conversation around serious topics have gone down to this level?
There is no doubt about it. I've taken part in possibly more than 1,000 debates now. But this was the one with Ashutosh that went seriously viral. From the moment, and they were like having promos of this. कि आधे घंटे में देखिए क्या हुआ आशुतोष और आनंद के बीच क्या चल रहा है ये. So yeah, everyone loves a good fight. That's a title of a book also, if I'm not mistaken, or a film. Huh? Oh, a drought. That's right. Yes. Now I remember the guy who wrote it. So obviously.
Peace, Anand.
Yeah. So look, I think there are massively. I would have thought earlier that there are disadvantages of this. The format is obviously conducive to a heated debate, more heat than light and whatever. But I think there are also advantages for people who want to take advantage of that. I've always been struck by the fact that it's a 1 hour debate, 8 to 9, 9 to 10. And yet I get only 2 minutes. I mean, at the face of it, it sounds ridiculous. Where are the other 58 minutes? Why can't they just give me, that is the genesis of that, give me 30 seconds, because, come on, I mean, you give me at least 2.5 minutes out of 1 hour. But even that, you have to beg for it. Now, if you have to do that, then you try and change the whole, mechanics of the debate. You try and put forward your views within that capsule of 2 minutes. So you take it up as a challenge. And I took it up as a challenge. I'm not bragging or anything like that. But I think in those 2.5 minutes, if you prepare, you will have a sputtering of 4 or 5 facts. You'll have a punch line. You'll have a starting line, end line, few jokes thrown in, few barbs. It becomes a capsule. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of given birth to this, you can say, a sub-format. That is advantageous because I think it's tailor-made for people who only have 2.5 minutes, So, yeah, I would say generally it is disadvantageous because you want to hear the nuances of every issue. And 1 hour is an awfully long time, believe me. And every time I'm struck by the fact that 1 hour of the debate goes and you end up learning nothing except those 2.5 minutes provided by me.
Is it then not just a problem with the TV format, but the problem of the times we live in, that we are trying to reduce everything to very easy binaries and definitions? Left, right, welfare, warfare, democracy, dictatorship. We just throw terms around, terms and phrases around, and my favorite, Bengali and Bohiragato. So, I mean, is it a problem of us as a people that we want easy explainers, we want immediate solutions?
Absolutely. I think you've hit the nail on the head, except that there are 2 points to it. One, because of this fast-paced world or news gathering or dissemination, you want people to come in packages. You want to pigeonhole people. So you already know, for example, or you've decided that this point of view is coming from Anand. Anand is a Sanghi, Anand is a BJP stooge or whatever he is, So let me be prepared. Let me already be on the defensive or on the offensive without listening to that point of view at all. And in a fast-paced world, you do that, and I think that many times people have found out opposing panelists in a 1 hour long debate, they come up and they kind of shake hands, the opposing side, I didn't have anything to speak because you spoke my mind and I thought you were a Sanghi, So that happens. You want people to come in quanta or, packages. The second thing is, and that's very important, and that's human proclivity. If you have an agenda, if you are a biased, the one person you hate is the person who doesn't have an agenda and is not biased. So you're dying and itching to label that person. You're dying and itching to say, oh, I'm from the Congress, so you must be from the BJP. I have an agenda, you also must be having an agenda. I am, a left-winger, so obviously you must be belonging to another wing. That's to cover your embarrassment of belonging to or adhering to an ideology, a religion, anything. So the one person they absolutely hate is a scientist who doesn't have an agenda, who's not on the payroll, who speaks his mind, and who's an atheist. It's the worst combination that I carry. But it's also joyful because I can see it in their eyes, but they're going to label me.
But does it not lead to the topic of our conversation, poverty of thought? I was literally sitting at the back taking notes when Shamika ji was speaking. So many data points she referred to. But where is the space in popular conversation today for important conversations to take place? Because you're a serious guy, despite your relationship with Ashutosh. But what is the solution to this? Because surely, I will come to the political arena a little bit later, but what is the solution as a people to this?
So, I don't think there is a solution per se. I think we forget that, we throw in generalized barbs, you can say, or accusations is more appropriate. Ki TV debate is rubbish. Nowadays books are terrible. Nowadays films are terrible. All through human history, 95% of the work that humans have churned out is utterly mediocre. It's not just this era. The fact is, you have to read that 5%, you have to watch that 5% of films, of debates, on anything. To give an example, if you are given, let's say, 10 hours to watch cricket, are you going to watch our Resident Welfare Association B block versus C block for the next 5 hours? You can do that and then feel disgusted. Say, this is a complete waste of time. Cricket nowadays is complete rubbish. Or you can watch Lakshman's 281 or Tendulkar's greatest innings or some great test match, Ian Botham or whatever it is, and you come back with a thing, oh my God, this is cricket. So it's a bit like that. You can either, if you're given 5 hours to read, media or books or something, you can either read the Hindu or Arundhati Roy's books, or and feel disgusted, or you can read our books. And no, that was on a lighter vein, but this has always been there. So it's not a question of this is something new. It's not new at all.
So you're saying it's necessarily not a bad thing. I'm a student of literature, and I remember in literature masters, I think in master's class, we were told that Shakespeare's play, when you critically analyze them, you'd see passages which had no business being there. But Shakespeare deliberately put them apparently because they were from the front seaters. They would hoot at those passages, but they were of very low literary value. So do you think that this is a time where we, all of us who are in the business of communication, whatever we are communicating, we need to learn the art of, somehow grabbing eyeballs, attention, even if it's not, even if all of that does not have enough gravitas?
Pardon me, but we need to do just the opposite. Because grabbing the eyeballs is what has led to this. We need to stick to the definition of what a word means. I mean, we're talking of poverty of words, so I'll come to that. But before I do, because writing was not my profession to start with, it was a hobby and then it became a passion. So I've almost, and I've said this also, I've thanked a few writers, and I've said there are more I'd like to thank, but I've run out of thumbs. So I've been an eklavya, I've kind of watched in admiration and read them and kind of imbibed their things. And one of the things that really struck with me as a writer who I knew I would never earn through my writing, was that Barthes, the famous French writer. He said something so profound, and I've never been able to forget it for like 15, 20 years. He said, the birth of the reader is the death of the writer. The day you start writing for the reader, the day you start, writing your words that, this will appeal to this community. Let me say, let me not write this. This community might get angry, or let me add this. This is, I've written about Ayers, now what about Iyengars? Now, I'm just giving you an example. That is the death of you. That means you're not writing for yourself, for the love of writing. You're writing for others. So if you're trying to catch eyeballs, it's precisely that. So I think, without being patronizing, you're not in that block at all, but I'm trying to say journalists, people should not be doing that at all. But then somebody will come back and say, well, what's the revenue model then? It is eyeballs. Yes, fair enough. But the fact of the matter is, to give you 3 or 4 examples, poverty of words, we, unabashedly proclaim ourselves as a secular republic. And for the last 10 years, I've been crying hoarse from the rooftops, we are not secular. What is the definition of secularism? It means a complete separation of church and state. Why are we calling ourselves secular when we give Hajj subsidies, when we control temples, when we give salaries to Maulvis, when we have iftar parties, when we, that's not what a secular state does. Call us by any other definition. We are plural, you can say. We kind of spend taxpayers' money on religions. Kartarpur corridor, Kashi, whatever the thing is. But we are not secular. I have not heard a single politician accept this. I have not heard a single media personality accept this. It's somehow as if the word plural is an insult. So let's not call India plural. What's wrong with calling India plural? But you must adhere to something that you're not. Because somehow secularism is that panacea that every nation must aspire to. So we're seeking validation of the West, of France, for example. I don't know. I mean, they're proudly secular, whatever you may call it. So that's the first definition. The poverty of usage of words is taking precedence over the poverty of word itself. When you're not secular, why are you calling yourself secular? And it kind of builds up on that, because when you don't clarify, then the problems come. For example, give me the definition of who a right-winger is. It's very difficult. Economically, yes, there is a right-wing economic, sensible economists are all right-wing economists, and the absolute nutters are left-wingers. So yes, you can pigeonhole them. I hear a very famous economist at the back, who shall remain nameless, giggling. But what else? Will you say, if you are a proud Hindu, you're right-winger? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If you are from the RSS, are you a right-winger? Absolutely not. Economically, this government is more left-wing than, possibly even Congress. So, what's the definition of an Indian right-winger? Is Hinduism being conservative? No. Is the antithesis of being conservative. Conservatism to me is the juice that you churn out of social Darwinism. It's being exclusivist, it's being supremacist. It's saying we're not going to have a debate because what I say is true, it's othering the other person. Hinduism is the antithesis of that. So then again I ask you, are all of us, majority of us right-wingers? No one's tried to, people just, some of them proudly accept that badge. I accept it out of defeat. Ki yaar, I don't have energy to say, no, I'm not this, I'm not that. You call me whatever you want. Right? But it's not true. What is hate speech? I mean, and we're having this, Shiv and I are going to have this debate, tonight about this terrible catastrophe of Tirupati Laddu, laced with beef fat. And I wrote a couple of days ago and I spoke about this. I said, had Halim being served at a iftar party laced with, lard, this nation would have witnessed a civil war. And so many Muslims took offense to that कि ये Islam को क्यों ले आया बीच में? It's not a question of bringing Islam in, it's a question of stating a fact. When you had large-scale riots, when Kanpur erupted just because a lady quoted Islamic scriptures, when you had 10 people beheaded just because they did not quote any Islamic scriptures, they actually said, we support Nupur. So civil war is a distinct possibility if you do this. You remember what happened to Hazrat Bal Mosque when the alleged thing happened? I mean, the whole state was in flames.
Bangladesh also.
Yeah. Yes. So, to call right-wingers doing this, left-wingers are, not partaking in any of this is complete BS.
You mentioned France, it's interesting, Alo's favorite country. Do you think that a possible solution to this is the Charlie Hebdo model? It will affect us also.
क्या सर तन से जुदा करवाना यहीं पे करवाना है?
No.
Give me a date and place, I'll come there.
No, not just
Don't
because,
make it public.
Because if you go the Charlie Hebdo way, then there will be things that will be said about you also, which may not be very palatable to you. But even if you don't like it, you'll have to accept it in the name of freedom of speech and expression. So do you think a civilized society, a modern civilized society, should move towards a model like that?
The question is not should move. We already are at that place.
We don't have a Charlie Hebdo.
No, it's a question when you say, do you think the shoe would also be on the other foot? It already is. Why is it that only Manusmriti is burnt? Why is it that only the pages of Gita are torn? Why is it that Ramcharitmanas is burned by a legislative member? And what does Supreme Court say? So when Nupur quoted the Islamic scriptures, I have the exact quotes of the Supreme Court, but let me see if I remember verbatim, because if I don't, there might be another contempt of court against me. They said, you burned the country down. That's what Supreme Court said. You got a loose tongue. You indulge in hate speech. You've done this, you've done that. And when a UP legislator, I think he belonged to Samajwadi Party, he might have joined BJP now, I'm not very sure. But he burnt Ramcharitmanas, and somebody filed a case, Supreme Court heard it, and the same Supreme Court said, why are you so touchy? So we already are there. Only Hindus are derided, only Hindu scriptures are derided, only Hindus are branded as Gaumutra drinkers and, this and that. And you saw what happened, when that IAS coach guy, he said something that was found unpalatable by a lot of Hindus. They wanted to file a case against him and all. And within 24 hours, a media channel, whom you were loosely associated with.
Not so loosely. But
Not so loosely. Dallan Top. Sorry, the Dallan Top. I always get confused. They brought that guy, same guy, with, all those tomes, and they made him read the exact verse and said, look, this is in the book, so why are you after this guy? They didn't do the same with Nupur. So we are already there. Only the Hindus are suffering this. So yes, you're absolutely right. It should happen. The problem in our country is we're not as brave as France. The state doesn't back you. And when the state doesn't back you, your bravery very quickly turns into bravado. You find yourself very quickly on your own, like Nupur. Your own party will ditch you. Your own party will suspend you. Your own party will, publicize your address. And you go underground within no time. So, the state is weak. We are not France.
You brought in the BJP, I didn't. So, and none of us, I think, want to be BJP spokespersons. So let me ask you, the quality of debates even in Parliament, caste is such an important issue, and there's talk of caste census. Do you think there was a time not that far away when there were parliamentary debates between Abhishek Manu Singhvi, Arun Jaitley, and even before that, wonderful parliamentary debates? These days, very important issues are, during the discussion of very important issues, you hear lines by top political leaders, tumhara jaat kya hai, and you're asking anybody, beauty pageants and and literally about anybody. And on the other side, you also hear कि जिसका जात का ठीक नहीं है वो पूछ रहा है. Do you think that's also a problem, that our political leaders in parliament, out of it, have reduced conversation to such shallowness?
I'm not for a wonderful, articulate debate 100% of the time. There has to be a sputtering of the mundane, the asinine, the mediocre. And it's always been there, The greatest of novelists have written rank mediocre books. The greatest of movie makers have made films that are unwatchable, But then they spring back and, they're not defined by those, what shall you say? I mean, suspended intelligence. The problem in our parliament is that it's mostly of one side, 99% is of this, and there is not a judicious mix of both, So you have Rahul Gandhi. I don't think it's about one particular politician. I think it's about the hypocrisy of every politician and every political party. And it's so easy to expose the hypocrisy, but no one does it. For example, people rightly accuse Narendra Modi of not having given even a single press conference in 10 years. I think he gave one. Or let me put it, not having given a single unscripted press conference in 10 years. That brought a smile to your face. And they say Rahul Gandhi unabashedly goes and speaks fearlessly his mind, and anybody is free to ask any question. That's not true at all. No journalist worth his or her salt has ever asked Rahul Gandhi in the last 5 years that those 3 farm laws that you fought tooth and nail to repeal, that were finally repealed, were in your manifesto verbatim. Why did you take a U-turn? Nobody asked him that. Nobody in the parliament has asked him that. No BJP politician has asked him that. So it's a free license to speak your allotted time if your hypocrisy is not exposed. So I don't think it's to do with the standard of debate. Of course it has fallen. I mean, we don't have Ambedkars and Rajendra Prasad and even Jawaharlal Nehru and all those who spoke well. But I don't go by a lot by the articulation. I go by the content.
But that's not quite true, because Rajdeep Sardesai asked Rahul Gandhi a question, got chided for it. I think you missed that.
As Mukesh Ambani said, मैं आपकी बातों को seriously नहीं लेता. So I haven't watched. I have watched his boxing matches, but I haven't watched his journalism.
All right. I think. Is there time for more questions from me, or
Placard been raised yet?
15 minutes more. 14 minutes more.
We'll keep 10 for questions. 4, when we talk of poverty of words, we've talked about secularism. We talked of left wing, right wing. I would like you to define centrist for me. It's the most infuriating thing, this dilly-dallying. For me, a centrist is a guy who's got indentations of barbed wire on his backside because he's sitting on the fence all the time. Please define who's a centrist. And then maybe the other 2-3 minutes, we must define what hate speech is and whether we should be against hate speech or not.
Congress is centrist, was centrist. Till,
what does it mean?
Till BJP pushed it towards left, center left, or Shamika is giving me a very angry look. That's the thought.
What is centrist?
To be neither left or right. To be
neither left nor right.
Yeah. To be.
Can we get a definition from you as to what is a left?
Yeah.
What is a left? I mean, whatever is left out. I think the left in Bengal, the state I come from, and sort of the students' wing of the party I was loosely associated with, has got 0 seats in 2019, 2021, 2024. So I guess whatever's left out is left.
Which student wing party were you loosely associated with?
SFI. I don't hide it. You know this, come on.
I can smell the sulfur already. But about the hate speech, because I think that's more important. There's
a very interesting point you made about, we don't talk about this enough, about calling the BJP right wing, because its economics is very left, providing welfareism to such a.
It's not very. It's left wing. It's not like a communist. Let's accept that. I mean, it's not complete state control. But it is, you haven't removed state control, you have PSUs, you're a welfare state, you're earning money through, not entirely through a capitalist state. So it's not Cuba, right, thankfully.
So are you then calling the Indic wing, which we now say, instead of the right wing, are you then essentially calling the Indic wing the right wing and the non-Indic wing the left wing?
You would have to define
for all practical purposes on X or out of it. Do you think people who are proudly Hindu, or at least are not ashamed of being Hindu, and who will speak up for their religious identity, are right wing?
No, I wouldn't say that at all. And one of the things that I can directly related to the book that I wrote, the last book, Hindus in Hindu Rashtra. It's not a pro-Hindu book. And I say that as well because it's not give this to Hindus. Hindus are demanding this. All that book is saying is remove the discrimination that is happening against Hindus. How can that be pro-Hindu? That's pro-justice. So I don't think religion has a role to play in this at all. It's just that the state, through, I think, brainwashing or through, I don't know, the whole machinery, for 60, 70 years, is just forgotten about doing justice to Hindus. I think it just boils down to that, honestly.
No, but since we are talking about how terms are terms and labels are put on us and generally sort of bandied about. How do we define left wing and right wing in India?
So, as I said, if you're illogical, irrational, woke, then you're left wing. Honestly, that's what I feel now, honestly. But if you want to give an academic definition to it, economically, if you believe in state control, if you believe that the state must run businesses, then you believe in left-wing economics. If you believe in, there it comes. So she is the dictator that, all of us. But if you, for example, if you believe in redistribution, for example, higher taxes, that you must, for example, tax the rich, and rich are not being taxed at all, and that's what a left-winger is, who believes in all these completely cranky concepts that every nation that has imbibed it has been ruined, from Soviet Union to Venezuela to Cuba and everything. That's what left-wing for me is. Politically, left-wing is if you are scared to say what needs to be said, if you are in bed with Islamists, if you are a coward, that's what a left-winger is, politically. Socially, if you are really bad at your studies, if you've completely failed at everything, if you're a chauthi fail, then you're a leftist. So socially, politically, economically, I've defined left wing.
Back in the day, I was not bad in studies. I was a college topper. But jokes aside, let's come to the other hotly debated two words, which are democracy and dictatorship. What does it, in India, what does it mean for you?
Yeah, I mean, we are a democracy. We are a banana republic. I have said this from the moment we became a republic. And I have given ample proof of that. Our constitution is blatantly anti-justice to anti-natural justice. It's anti-free speech. It's anti a lot of things. We seem to gladly accept it. The notion of what free speech is, what free speech should be, is just completely gone out of the window. It went with the First Amendment that Nehru brought in. He is proclaimed as the greatest Democrat we ever had. The guy who banned 15 books and 10 films and jailed editors and poets, who brought in sacked governments at will, state governments at will, brought in the First Amendment, curbed the press through the Press Act. That guy is proclaimed as a Democrat. So I don't know which definition of democracy should one use when you're talking about democracy and dictatorship. Yeah, we'll. So we have 10 minutes now for questions.
As Anand also said that there is very little that comes out in a TV debate and very little information also as an user one gets. So my question to both of you, people like you is, why don't you create a platform of the independent voice people like you people, at least a platform like YouTube where you can come together, you two and many other people, and discuss serious topics, which doesn't seem to be happening in such a halla gulla of useless debates. I don't know why.
PLF is an independent platform.
No, but it is once a year. We get an opportunity once a year.
More PLFs, I think, through the year.
We need more ALOs.
More ALOs.
No, but you see, at the end of the day, as I say this, there ought to be more journalism in science. Yes, of course, because there's so many important topics that are directly related to science that journalists just don't pick up at all. I mean, when was the last time we had one of the most crucial debates this country needs to have on GMO? I can't remember. It's been 5 or 6 years, Where is the food going to come from that billions are going to eat going forward? We simply don't have the resources, the land, the productivity, everything to make that. Are we having that GMO debate? No. We had an Indian scientist who produced GM mustard. There are other countries that are growing it. It's not been licensed in our country. His fields were burnt. Dr. Paintal. Did any journalist, bring that up? No. So there ought to be more science in journalism, but more importantly, there ought to be more science in journalism. Yeah, and what do I mean by that? And that is related to what you mentioned. What does science teach you? Science teaches you first thing is, if you've come up with any new idea that you think is new, for heaven's sake, find out if actually it is new or somebody has already done it. Imagine you giving a topic to a PhD student, and that student spends 5 years in researching it, and writes his thesis up, and on the day of his submission he finds out that, oh my God, this was already done back in the 80s. So the student's going to get go to a shop and get a knife and do the unmentionable to you as a supervisor. This is what prior art. You must find out whether it's been done before. In journalism, hardly ever people do that. And the classic case is, you have these lynchings against Muslims by Hindu mobs. Have you searched whether these lynchings were happening earlier, before BJP came in? Have you searched whether Muslim mobs have perpetrated these lynchings against Hindus, religious based? When you do that, you find out that this is a very normal thing that has happened. Unfortunate, but it happens all the time. But it garners eyeballs to be selective, because then it tells you, oh, this is happening for the first time. This is why, this is the new India. You still find, half those screechy radio jockeys and those guys who say strategy badalni hogi, all those guys, they're always selective. They always pick up a few things and they run along with it. Fact checkers pick up only the things that they feel their constituency would be happy for it to be fact checked. And the reason for that is, YouTubers included, they have built a community and they get paid by that community. They cannot dare go against that community. And it's happened. A few YouTubers, they said something which the Muslim community didn't like, and there were like thousands of subscriptions that were cancelled. So very quickly, you revert to what you're good at, being selective. So in that atmosphere, how do you bring in independence?
We discussed left, right, center, democracy, dictatorship. I just want you to let us know how about nationalism in TV debates.
Could you expand a little on that, sir? Nationalism in TV debates?
In terms of, raising above all this and discussing things which are good for the country, or discussing things which will take the country forward, anything like that.
I think that does happen, but of course, as we've discussed, it doesn't garner a lot of... but I mean, as journalists would know, good news. So what is it? Good news is no news. Yes, it used to be the other way around. Yes, you're right. But as far as nationalism is concerned, sir, I am the wrong person to talk about it, because I am against nationalism. I've even written that there is nothing that patriotism has not achieved in peacetime that you believe nationalism would achieve. I think Islamists are nationalists. I think people... Because nationalism per se includes being exclusive, othering something, thinking you're the best. Many religious denominations are that. Catholicism, as defined by Orwell, in that sense, that's nationalism. Communism, they are nationalists, Hindus are not nationalists at all. Indians are not nationalists, and I wrote on this. And the starting premise was why Narendra Modi is wrong when he said, yes, I am a Hindu and I am a nationalist. It all triggered from there. Some Reuters journalist asked him, what are you? So he said, I am a Hindu and I am a nationalist. So I said, no, he's a patriot. Indians are patriots. And I think the moment Modi said nationalist, everyone said, हाँ भाई मैं भी nationalist हूँ. नहीं, Modi भी nationalist नहीं है. If you look at the integration of India with the rest of the world, we are anything but nationalists. We are the country, it is America that reneged on the Paris climate deal. We didn't. We are proud signatories. We are a developing country, we need fossil fuels, and yet we think of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and, the world is a family. We are so well integrated with the rest of the world, it is anything but othering or being exclusivist or thinking that supremacist behavior. So that's my
Sorry.
last question, Gloria. Come on.
So in decolonization, since we all want to decolonize ourselves, right and left are terms that have been imported. I'm curious, what is in the Indic wisdom that we could look to?
I think you
Sir,
should.
this is right up your alley. You are the public intellectual and
Gali
barely
dena.
a reporter.
Please don't call me public intellectual. You can call me anything. No. Call me Ashutosh. But this thing. Yes. But again, if I may disagree a little, a lot of us have started taking offense on, oh, this is imported. Oh, that is. Why shouldn't we take in things that we did not discover, invent, write, or export? If you look at science, 99% of the discoveries that have helped us are imported. Our other than Covaxine, the Covishield was imported. Most of the drugs that we take are all imported. So, of course there is, and I am not knowledgeable at all in this field. I think the correct person, apt person, starting from decolonization to the Indic philosophy is J. Sai, of course. So, hopefully he'll be here in the next edition, and he should give us a lecture and make things absolutely crystal clear as to what Indic philosophy gives to us, to the rest of the world. To me, I think the crux of Indic philosophy is just being open, all accepting, but at the same time being resolute. As somebody said, if you are too tolerant, sooner or later you become intolerant. So that's not what Sai advocates at all, but that is the Gandhian way of the irrational, illogical way of thinking, emotional way of thinking. Somehow that's the classic woke thing, virtue signaling. I don't think Indic wing is that. You stand up for what is right. You defend what you believe is what is true. That's my limited thing. I'm not knowledgeable in this.
I think as Ramakrishna Dev said, Joto Mot Toto Pot. As many views, as many paths. So I think that's the Indic way.
Thank you so much. Real pleasure.